Hello there. 1 year ago I purchased my first motorbike, the Keeway V-Cruise 125cc. It is a fantastic looking bike and sounds great. Without L plates on, it looks like a much bigger bike. But a year on, would I purchase it again? The answer is a yes, but also a no. Let me explain. Let's start with the yes part. As well as being fantastic to look at and having a nice sound, it is one of the more powerful 125cc's on the market, being on the legal limit for a learner 125 here in the UK. This makes it ideal for a larger person, such as myself. Although it is by no means the quickest, I'm sure if you're a smaller person your mileage would vary, it is also by no means embarrassingly slow. It will do a respectable speed in a national speed limit, going above 60 on a long flat stretch, and sitting comfortably at lorry and bus levels of about 56 to 58 miles an hour on most conditions. Not too shabby really. What else is there to like? The bar end mirrors give an excellent view of the road, though if you're tall like me you'll find them hitting your knees when you have to do a full lock turn. There is no chain as it has a good quality belt dry system, so I never had to worry about cleaning and lubing it. The blacked out look of the bike, with the yellow on there, was stunning and a real head turner. No one had anything negative to say about how it looked, and many didn't even realise it was a 125. So if you owned one and didn't have L plates on, sticking an aftermarket twin exhaust on which you can buy, you'd have a very economical, nice looking, great sounding 125 which 90% of people would be none the wiser to. Out of all the 125s that I looked at, this little V-twin was the one that suited me and the look I wanted. I was originally planning on running around on it for a year or two, and maybe even just keep doing my CBT forever, as I only initially wanted a bike for commuting. However, that soon changed and I was hooked on the biking lifestyle, and the moment I tried a bigger, larger bike there was no going back. This is where the no part of the answer comes in. I am over the age of 25, which means that in Britain I can go straight to a full bike licence if I do a theory test, a Mod 1 and a Mod 2 part of the practical test. All in all, this process can be 5 days, but probably more reasonable to assume 1 to 2 months. I started doing this process 2 months after getting the 125, and my love for this bike diminished, as for me it was more comfortable on a larger bike. There was no real need for me to own a 125 in the end. I wasn't being forced by law to ride one for 2 years before I could do the next licence category. I did use it for commuting now and again, but not as much as I thought I would. But like I said, I was planning to do a 2-year run with it. So for me it was a large investment, and one which I took a large hit on when I traded it in. With only 1,500 miles on the clock I lost nearly £2,000. There were also 2 services in that period to add to the already hefty £4,700 price tag. The only good thing was it was so economical that those 1,500 miles barely cost me anything in fuel. It was an expensive mistake in hindsight, though one which seemed a good idea when I made my original plan. So yes, I had fun riding it, and yes, it is a great little bike. If you are looking for a cruiser style bike but only want a low capacity one, then this could very well suit you, though I've always said you might as well get the 300cc model if you have the licence category to do so. It is roughly the same dimensions, has 30 horsepower and is the exact same price as the 125. Why wouldn't you buy that? So I will say the answer of should you buy one is a yes or a no depending on circumstances. If you are going to ride 125cc's exclusively on a CBT, or are required to do so until you can do an A2 licence, then yes, as it will be a great bike for several years. If you already have a full bike licence though, and want to downgrade, but you're looking for a cruiser style bike, I think you'd be better off with the 300cc version. But if, like me, you're over 25 and can do a direct access course, then the money would be better used buying extra lessons on a bike you will be using for the test. At between £100 to £150 per lesson, that is a lot of lessons you could have, but you're not going to need that many before you hit £4,700. You're better off saving for a large bike and having a handful of extra lessons on a bike that you will be using. But do I miss it a year on? Well, there are things I miss about it. The LED indicators, the belt drive, the looks, the sound, well, okay, so basically everything. But I don't miss losing speed up slight inclines and hills in whatever gear I'm in, and the long acceleration times to a decent speed. At the end of the day though, it is your money and your choice. Don't get me wrong, it is a Chinese bike, but I had no issues in the time I had it, so it is probably going to be a sound investment for years to come. But I would say, think carefully if you really need a 125. There are some great 350cc's out there for the same or cheaper money if you want a smaller bike. But if you are aiming to ride a larger bike and go straight to that license category, then I'd think twice about owning a 125. Unless you are going to buy a second-hand one which will lose little to no value when you sell it on to the next learner. So I'm glad I owned this bike for a while and experienced it. Like I said, there's a lot to like about it, but for me the novelty soon wore off as I did my direct access course and moved on to larger bikes. I bought into the guff of the dealer which said, oh, because we're maintaining it and they don't lose value, we'll buy it back, it would pretty much be the same price you paid. No, I lost £2,000 nearly on that and all the other expenses. So yeah, I kind of was foolish and naive, but it was a great bike, and it could be a great bike for you in your situation. That being said, I obviously no longer own this bike. This is some old footage we are viewing here. I traded it in last December when I purchased my Super Meteor, so there will be no more videos on the Keeway V-Cruise on this channel. I do have a library of past videos and thoughts available in this playlist, but for now it is a chapter of my life which is closed, although I will happily answer any questions on this bike if I can. As always though, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this bike, or 125cc options, or anything in the comments below. And as always, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you next time.